What would you say are the steps that a person must accomplish to either become certified or respected in your profession?
Yeah, so there isn't necessarily I mean, I guess there are certifications like to learn more housing development, like financing, economic development financing. So National Development Council is one example. I have certifications from them. But you really don't need anything. You really need capital and to be around people that have experience, that are willing to teach you, right? I think that on the development side, there's so many ways that you can like be an expert in this space. Like you can be an expert on the construction side, you can be an expert on the financing side, you can be an expert on the relationship side. And there's like a ton of things you can go into the weeds on that. I think what's typically hardest for folks is figuring out how to pull the money together and build their relationships to get the deal done. Most other things you can hire out for. So your general contractor, your architect, your land developer, but having the relationships for financing is not always easy. Having the relationships where people want to support, your deal on a political level is not always easy. So those are some of the things that have to kind of come together, to make a deal happen. I don't know if I answered your question, but that's kind of the thought process.
But that's perfect. I mean, I think one of the things that I'm always engaging is more of an academic vision for what a person ought to do. You need to go to college, you need to do this, you need that. And I think that one of the things that's really cool about this podcast is there are a lot of professionals who say this may not be needed, or this is what is needed, or focus your efforts and your attention here. And so I think it's a great resource for students to be able to start thinking critically about what does it look like to either save or to raise capital? What does it look like to get into these spaces and get experience on a construction site? And so I think that that's what the whole goal is. So you did answer the question. It's just not, it's not an easy answer because
Yeah.
that's a career profession. And
And let me build on that as well. So I do think like you got to have like a baseline like understanding of projects, right? And like figure out from which angle you want to delve into that. Where I tell most folks, because I'm mainly in the community development space, so these are people who have a heart for neighborhoods. Where most people who want to do this work are not skilled at is doing financial analysis and development pro formas. And I like stress that all day. If you can learn one thing, it's how to do a development pro forma. There's plenty of classes online. You could learn it in school, and I learned it in graduate school, but not in a class, actually with the on-campus consulting firm. But that is like the main differentiator, because we always have these ideas of what needs to happen in neighborhoods, but figuring out how the money actually flows and how all the capital sources work together and what to even look for in that conversation is probably the biggest gap. So if somebody's going to spend some time and some money like getting trained, that would be where I would spend time and resources for sure.